There's something intoxicating about Smoke Rings, one of the lesser-known yet intellectually layered episodes of Tales from the Crypt. On the surface, it's a satire about advertising and addiction, but beneath its glossy visuals lies a psychological allegory about surrendering autonomy for ambition. The story centers on a man whose career thrives on manipulation, but the deeper he delves into persuasion, the more he becomes the product of his own illusions. The episode opens in a polished advertising agency where words are currency and truth is expendable. The protagonist, a talented but cynical ad executive, thrives on selling lies wrapped in beauty. The first sequence, a meeting where he pitches a campaign connecting smoking to sensuality, is visually striking. Bright lighting contrasts with the creeping gray of cigarette smoke. The scene drips with irony, as characters discuss health and image while slowly suffocating in their own deceit. The camera glides smoothly around the table, emphasizing the performative nature of corporate charm. Each smile hides calculation. The arrival of the new creative director, a man of unnerving calmness, introduces tension. His methods are unorthodox, his charisma hypnotic. He teaches that advertising isn't about selling but commanding. You don't convince people, he tells the team. You rewire them. From that moment, the tone shifts. The protagonist's fascination with the director grows, and with it, the cinematography becomes darker, colors more saturated. The sleek office turns claustrophobic, like a maze of glass where reflections distort reality. As the plot unfolds, the protagonist begins experimenting with subconscious influence. He records sounds, plays with lighting, whispers suggestive words. People start obeying him in subtle ways. What begins as curiosity turns into obsession. The power to manipulate others feels divine, yet it rots him from the inside. In one of the episode's most memorable moments, he looks into the mirror and practices his command voice, only to realize his reflection doesn't match his words. It's a brief flicker of supernatural suggestion, but the meaning is clear. He's losing his sense of self. The pacing of Smoke Rings mimics addiction's rhythm: excitement, repetition, dependency, withdrawal. Each scene feels slightly longer, slower, filled with heavy air and half-seen movement in the smoke. The sound design, hissing static, faint echoes, makes even silence feel manipulative. The writers use this atmosphere to explore not only control over others but the illusion of control itself. The protagonist becomes the perfect metaphor for modern man, seduced by the fantasy of influence, blind to his own enslavement. The moral dimension of the story emerges gradually. When he finally turns against his mentor, believing he can surpass him, his arrogance becomes his undoing. In a devastating final scene, he attempts to hypnotize his boss, only to find that his words loop back into his own mind. The smoke envelops him. His own slogans play on repeat in the background. The image of him sitting alone, whispering commands that no longer affect anyone, is both pathetic and profound. The irony is perfect. The master manipulator ends up persuading only himself. Watching Smoke Rings today feels strangely prophetic. Replace the cigarettes with algorithms, the slogans with viral trends, and the same story unfolds across social media. The human hunger for control, for validation, for influence hasn't changed. The episode's horror doesn't come from monsters, but from the recognition that we willingly inhale lies because they comfort us. It's a quiet terror, the kind that lingers long after the credits roll. Personally, the episode reminds me of moments in life when persuasion felt like survival. We all sell something: our image, our ideas, our dreams, and sometimes the act of convincing others becomes indistinguishable from lying to ourselves. Smoke Rings captures that with eerie precision. It's not just a tale of ambition gone wrong, but a mirror held up to anyone who's ever confused power with purpose. The genius of Tales from the Crypt lies in such psychological ambiguity. It entertains while exposing uncomfortable truths. Ultimately, Smoke Rings is less about smoking and more about suffocation. The smoke represents not nicotine but illusion. The more the protagonist breathes it in, the less oxygen of truth he has left. In that sense, the horror is deeply human. The final shot, fading into a haze of gray, is not merely visual, but existential. A man dissolving into the fog of his own creation.